So today, I have with me for an interview, Savile Voices, Amy!
You got it. You got it. Yes. Hello. Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing lovely. It is 11 a.m. where I am. I believe it is about 4 a.m. where you are. So I believe I'm probably much more energized than you are.
Nonsense, nonsense. If you know me, if you've met me, you know, like, all I need is happiness and sunshine, and I can go for 24 hours straight. Ah,
Oh, isn't that special?
I'm Canadian, it comes with the territory. So,
Oh, well, that makes sense.
exactly, eh?
Thank you for making the time to have me on your show.
No, thank you for reaching out to me. Now, Amy, please tell me, how long have you been voice acting for?
Well, I guess you could say about 10 years now. So I live in South Africa and I moved from a smaller town to a larger town in about 2010. And that's when I started voice acting. And then I was busy studying a brand degree. I was specializing in copywriting. And then I finished that and I decided, no, copywriting is not what I want to do with my life. So I took a gap year and I went and donated eggs in Malaysia. So that was an experience. I came back and I studied a further 2 years of film production and I specialized in film editing. And then I finished that. And all the while I was doing voice work in between. And then I was just kind of freelancing. So I was freelance writing, freelance film editing, and voice artistering. So I was doing all of that kind of stuff. And then I ended up working for a major radio station here in the city that I live in, Cape Town, South Africa. Putting in that plug there. So I worked for this major radio station, and then I kind of realized there that my voice work was taking off, and that's where my passion lied. And I wanted to make it a full-time thing. So about 2 years ago, I left my job completely, and now I'm a full-time freelance voice artist.
What made you take that decision to go full-time voice actress?
Mm, I would say it was my biggest break. I have some agents here in Cape Town who sent through a casting call for a big animated feature film that was happening, and she just said they needed a voice of a young American boy. And I had no idea what it was really for. I was given a couple of lines. So at my job, I just kind of went into the studio and recorded on my phone a couple of lines that it was kind of like, Mom, Dad, vampires. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. Wow. So recorded a bunch of that, sent it off to my agent, and then I ended up getting the job. And it turned out to be a huge animated feature film featuring some stellar names, which I can probably look up for you now. But someone from Harry Potter, Jim Carter, Alice Krieger, which is another South African actress. But yeah, so there were a lot of things within that project that were just like, wow, I can really make this into a career. And then I realized at that job, I was kind of being ushered into the booth to record things here and there, but I wasn't really getting paid for it. So I was like, let me take this into my own hands and make this my full-time foray.
Can I just say, that voice work earlier, that was incredible!
Thank you. Sorry, actually I haven't spoken much today, so sorry if it came across a little
Not at all! Not at all! That was amazing! You were a whole other person there for a moment. That was wow!
I'll send you the trailer. You can watch the trailer and hear me throughout it.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. So, where did you learn to alter your voice like that?
I don't think I ever learned to alter my voice. I think I've just always been able to do it. So when I was young, I had a voice for every single animal that I had. And I had no idea that it was a weird thing or that not everyone did it. I just did it. And everyone, I thoroughly entertained everyone and I loved entertaining people. So I was like, okay, great. I'll just keep doing voices. And then every time I heard a new interesting voice on TV, I would mimic it and, I'd make my parents laugh. And my mom would always say, oh, Amy, you should, do those funny voices on TV. You should do some cartoon voices or something. You're so good at them. And I never really took it seriously, but I really loved voices until I had finished my copywriting degree. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do with my life. Where do I go from here? And then my mom's voice came into my head. You should do those funny voices. And I was like, hey, let me do that. So because I just finished studying copywriting, I wrote myself a script with like several different characters, and I had my same laptop that I've got now 10 years ago. Put it on my bed, threw the duvet over me, and on Audacity, I just recorded my own script and I recorded myself doing different characters. Like I was on a tour bus and I was taking people through a tour of the city, and I was all of the voices of all the people on the bus. So I recorded that, which was about like 2 minutes or something. And I sent out a mass email to a bunch of different agencies. And I was like, please, does anyone want to work with me as a voice artist? And then I got a reply almost immediately. And that's where it started.
My goodness.
Yeah.
That's remarkable. Absolutely remarkable.
Yeah, so voices have just come quite easily to me. I think my musical background also helps because in Durban, where I was born and raised, I was basically born and raised on the stage as an actress and a singer. Primarily an actress. Singer, I get very nervous on stage unless I'm with other people. Solo singing is something I probably have to work on. But I loved acting, and I moved to Cape Town to try and act. But after a while, I kind of realized that, film acting, on-screen acting it has to do with your physical appearance. I mean, it has to do because you're looking at the screen. So people cast you for certain roles based on your physical appearance. And I guess I was never much into that. I prefer to be cast based on my talent, if I'm the best person for the job, not just because I look the right part. So I started looking into voiceover. And for me, that just was so much better because, on screen, I can't play a 50-year-old black man, but in voiceover, you never know.
Very good point. Very good point indeed. My goodness. So, here's a question for you. How far do you want to take this? Is this your dream job? Is this what you want to do for the rest of your life?
Oh, for sure. I mean, now that I'm older and a little more comfortable on screen, and with the fact that, movies have to use your physical appearance in order to be successful, I'm more comfortable with the idea of having to audition on screen for those kind of roles. So I think I might want to try and take a dive into acting on screen as well, but I would love to master my voiceover world, my individual voiceover world. So for me, that would mean moving to LA at some point in my life, which is quite difficult from South Africa, unfortunately. But it's not an unattainable goal or an unattainable dream because luckily for me, I have made many wonderful voiceover contacts, and not even voiceover, even through that movie I met music composers for films and stuff like that, who have all been kind enough to say, well, if you're ever in LA, you have a place to stay. So hopefully in the near future, I'll be able to visit LA and I'll be able to go meet some agents in person and show them my personal charm, because I think there's only so much that you can really convey to a person over, over the internet.
Of course. Well, best of luck to you. Well, you don't need luck. I know you'll
Thank
succeed.
you.
That's brilliant. Absolutely
I
brilliant.
need luck in getting there and like saving the money to make it there. But once I get there, I'm fairly sure I'm just gonna like walk into an agent's office and be like, yo, listen up. I got something to say.
You just own the joint.
Walk in there and own it, because that's all I've been preparing for the past good couple of years.
So tell me, Amy, how many accents and voices can you do?
Well, this is my neutral South African accent, I guess you could call it. And then I know a lot of people find my accent weird and they're like, where is this chick from? Because a lot of people say Australia or New Zealand or Lord knows where. I've had Irish sometimes. I don't know where that came from. But we're kind of an eclectic hotpot in South Africa. And I'm kind of lucky that we are, because there are so many different accents floating around. I mean, South Africa has like 11 official languages. And so there are just so many different rhythms and pitches and just so many different things you can learn about ways to say things. And so being in my city surrounded by all these different accents, also because Cape Town's such a tourist hotspot, we get people from all over the world. So there's German people and French people and all sorts that come and visit and sit in restaurants. And whenever I hear someone international sitting next to me or behind me or whatever, I'll always kind of sit and listen and take in their accent. And so I feel like each time I do that, it kind of adds to my repertoire of being able to kind of hone those accents a little more. So at this point, aside from my normal South African accent, um, I get hired a lot to do British and American voices, of course, but then I've also done plenty of other accents for games, mostly Russian, I would say, and then Australian I can do as well. Um, I've done some specific l- English dialects that I haven't been too certain of, but I'm working on them. However, I like to think that I am very flexible when it comes to this kind of stuff. So when you ask me to do an accent, I can sit down for like a day and I will watch YouTube videos on how to do that accent and I will say lines over and over and over until I feel I can tell that I've got the accent down or I haven't. So I feel like I can pretty much pull off any accent given enough time.
All right then. I'm very curious. Could you share your Russian accent with us?
So there's this a game that I'm busy with at the moment called Kaliska, where I play an old world vampire, and her voice is more like this. She wakes up in a cave and she wonders what has happened these past 100 years. And while she's walking around the cave, she discovers this succubus, this demoness, and her name is Mauricia. And she is this demoness who I also voice in the game Kaliska. And she's locked in a cage, and she has to enlist Kaliska's help to find the key, and so that they can both explore the world together.
Brilliant. Oh my god, spectacular. Oh my
And
god.
then the game continues, and you get to play Kaliska, and you get to play Mauricia. So both of the characters that I voice both go on an adventure together.
Delightful. Delightful. I'll be sure to find it and leave some links in the description and in the comments section.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I really do love voicing video games, I've got to say. Another one of my favorites that I've just voiced is called East Shade. And I mean, there's a ton of voice actors in that, but this game is so beautiful. And I'm not just saying that to plug it, like, I genuinely love this game. I love puzzles. I love beautiful games. You know, I love when I can see the devs have really thought about stuff. And this is like kind of Elder Scrolls if you like shook it upside down and all the violence kind of came out of it. So you're left with just a beautiful world and gorgeous quests and or instead of people, all the people are animals. So you get quests from animals to go figure out like when you have to go to a certain place to collect a certain item and it's just super cool. I've clocked it like 3 times. I initially started playing it to try and find my voice because I voiced 2 characters in there. I think one is like a Lady Samira, who I think gives you a quest to go find a box in the hidden mountains or something, and, she gives you, like, a quest, about her paintings. I think she's a painter or something like that. And then, there's another character who sells coats in it, who I voice, and I think that's just more of a relaxed, "Oh, you're going to get a cold if you don't carry a coat on the balloon up there." So so I initially played East Shade in the beginning to find my characters, and because my characters are actually, like, halfway into the game, and I obviously didn't realize this, I actually just forgot that I was in the game. So I was actually streaming it on Twitch, and I was playing it, and I just got lost in the game, and then eventually when I came across my characters, I interact, speak with the character, and I hear my own voice. I'm like, "Oh, yeah. Oh my god, I was in this." I totally forgot. I was actually looking for my characters, and that's the reason why I was playing. So then after when I finished it, I was like, "Now I've got to play it again and then again." So it was a lot of fun playing that game and just being involved in such an ambitious game to begin with, because I believe that it was actually created originally by a guy who worked for a huge animation company and decided he really just wanted to create a beautiful world. And so he, like 5 years ago, dropped out and then got this little dev team together from all around the world. And like it was like a very small team that worked on this game for 5 years. And it's only just been released in the last year or so. And these people worked so hard on this incredibly beautiful game. And you can really tell That's like their passion, because the whole game, basically you're a traveling painter and you've been washed ashore onto this new kind of land, this new world called Eastshade. And you have to go explore the world to go find out certain quests. Or I think there's the main quest is to paint 5 specific pictures to your mother who's just passed away. So it's got like a beautiful emotional element to it and an original soundtrack, which might I add is incredibly beautiful. But basically, the quests are aimed to take you all around the map, like everywhere, so that you are forced to explore everything the devs have created. So you can see how much time and effort has gone into the game, which I think is so cool, especially when you get to take a balloon ride across to like these snowy mountains. And it literally is like a forced 2-minute cutscene of you in a hot air balloon riding up and getting this beautiful look over the city and seeing all of the gorgeous stuff the devs have created. So I I just really appreciated that.
Amy, if you don't mind my saying, it's obvious you're very, very passionate not only about your work, but about the clients you work for and their work. Tell me, I'm curious, where does that passion come from?
I suppose it just comes from whenever I work with people who I feel have the same passion as I do, and if it's something that I also feel passionate about. I mean, sure, I'm going to get clients who are difficult. I will tell you a story about a client I had here in Cape Town. Of course, it was here in Cape Town. This guy, this big brand, this beauty brand or whatever, hired me to do a um, what they said was 1 script to my agent. I got there, it was about 7 scripts. And we went like an hour over time, and this guy, he was just one of those people who has actually no idea about voiceover, but thinks that he is definitely a director. And so he was standing there, in the with the engineer, and I could see he was on his phone and on his cell phone most of the time. So I was just kind of doing all the lines and looking at my engineer for affirmation. And then every now and again he'd kind of walk over and like yell over the engineer and be like, "Excuse me, are you choking? What is wrong with you? What?" And the engineer just looked up at me and was like, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." I'm like, "It's okay." So, that was probably the worst client that I had to deal with because there were a lot of things other than that that happened. But it's not to say that I don't have to work with some clients that I really don't like. So when I do get to work with clients who I love and are working on projects that I also really love as well, then I make sure to show extra support and extra interest in everything that they do.
Oh, that's very sweet of you. That's very, very sweet of you.
I think it's just decent.
Exactly, exactly. Now, Amy, I couldn't help but notice there you mentioned you have an agent. How did you go about getting an agent?
Well, when you say agent in Cape Town, it's like, cool, agent. Because in Cape Town, I suppose, there are a lot of agencies and stuff, um, but they're not, like, super big agencies or anything. The agency I'm with, for example, doesn't get me that many jobs, so I've had to I mean, I had to foray out onto my own, adventure out onto my own, to find my own work, overseas because I wasn't getting enough work here. So, I mean, I got my agent, as I mentioned before, by writing that script and sending it out, and they were the first people to respond. And they did send me, the audition to be in that animated feature film, but it was like a cattle casting call that where I can see they sent it out to a lot of people. So I think that the animators of that movie were looking for a slightly cheaper to hire voice actor. So they sent some audition sides to South Africa, and they were like, "Let's see if we can find a someone who can do a little boy voice there." So though I objected to my agents at the time, and I was like, "I think I should maybe be reimbursed a little bit more, seeing as this is a feature film with major names attached to it, and it's going to be released all over the world. Maybe I should be paid a little bit more." But they were like, "Well, if you don't take it, it's gonna go to someone else, so either take it or don't." So I was like, okay, I'll take it." And I'm very glad that I did, but unfortunately, I wouldn't say that they have done the most for me. I think I've done the most for me, which is why I work with so many overseas clients now. I find that overseas clients are just a lot more respectful of my time and my effort. Whereas South Africa, people can be a little bit, give me the best price. What's the lowest price you got? You know, they want to try their luck as much as they can.
Speaking of trying your luck, that's an excellent segue. Thank you for providing that. Speaking of trying your luck, you also do not safe for work voice acting, am I correct?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. So I started off doing, I mean, it was all safe for work stuff. It was all just like radio ads. It was, oh, and I'm also the voice of a radio station, the radio station that I used to work at.
Oh
So now
my god.
so that's pretty cool. Doing e-learning modules, explainer videos, things like that. And then I started doing game stuff, game voices, etc. Doing auditions on Casting Call Club, etc. And then that's where I came across Kaliska, which started this whole thing, I would kind of say. Because they told me it was actually like an adult RPG, which I found super interesting. And they were like, "So, would you maybe be comfortable?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'd be comfortable with that." And so while they were working on it, and I wasn't really sure what the extent of it would be, I was like, well, not safe for work voice acting. Maybe that would be something I could look into. So I started looking up other audiobook companies and organizations, and I ended up getting involved in a company called Storymore, which is basically it's still going to be launching, but it's like Netflix but for audio dramas kind of thing. So when I went to them, they also asked me if I would be comfortable doing erotic voiceovers for their books and whatnot. So one of them like the very first one that I did was a sultry. I was like a Boston cop, getting a good old Jolly Rogering in a cupboard to begin with. So that was me in my very first not safe for work role. It was, having a fun time while my lieutenant dad stood nearby. But it wasn't as lewd as I thought it would be. And then, I don't know, I think it just kind of snowballed from there. And I started to realize how much I actually enjoyed it, how much fun the community was, how lovely the community actually is once you get to know them. And I've just been loving it ever since. And I think I'm gonna try push the boundaries as much as possible within that area.
Oh, I have high hopes for you. High hopes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Pornhub now. I've made it, Mom. Not my face, it's my voice, but you know. I think it's always hilarious being able to tell people, "Yeah, I'm on Pornhub." They're like, "What?" Like, my voice is on Pornhub, guys. I'm a voice artist. Do you really think I would just be like, "Oh yeah, go watch me get naked in Pornhub"? I mean, maybe in the future, but I'd let you know.
Woo! All right. Okay then. Woo! Ooh. Okay. You mentioned earlier about the community. So tell me, how did you get involved and end up joining the AVA Adult Voice Actors Discord?
Honestly, I'm a very strange little person. I say that so weirdly. But because I sit at home in my apartment all day in my little studio, I don't reach out to other people. I just have a problem with reaching out to I feel like I'm irritating or gonna be irritated. I don't know. So I never really tried to be part of any kind of community, though many people had told me, "Hey, be a part of a community, otherwise you're gonna be lonely." And then after a while, I had a few lovely fellow not safe for work voice actresses DM me, and also the Discord server itself DM me and say, "Hey, you should join the server." And I was very hesitant because I'm never really usually involved in group chats or talks like that. So I'm still kind of hesitant, weirdly enough, because I feel like I'm very confident in real life, but as soon as it's online, I'm like shy for some reason. So a lot of people ended up DMing me and telling me to please join the server. And then once I kind of did, I realized how friendly people were and how I just couldn't believe that people actually want to help you out of the goodness of their hearts. Like in South Africa, I mean, I love my country, I really do. But everyone usually you got a motive for everything you do here. People aren't just nice to you for nothing usually. So, joining the not safe for work community, I was just so genuinely surprised when I had so many people offering me support for what seemed like nothing. I was like, "But why are you supporting me? You don't know me or anything." They're like, "Well, I've heard your voice and I think you're talented and I love supporting you." I'm like, "This actually happens?" So so feeling supported was just wonderful, and now I'm more motivated than ever to be a part of this community.
So, I have one last professional business question for you. Actually, revolving around this interview right here. What made you reach out to me for interview?
I saw Tempty's interview with you, and I listened to her, and I was like, she sounds absolutely lovely. You sound absolutely lovely. This would be a great way for me to, not be so antisocial as I was describing before. Let me try and put myself out to the world and not be completely nervous during this entire interview.
Well, if you don't mind my saying, I think you've done a bang-up job so far.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Alright, so, now if you don't mind, well, we're gonna ask some more personal questions to try and get to know you a bit better. Is that okay?
Sure. Go for it.
Okay. What are some of your favorite hobbies? Sports, music, video games, you name it.
Well, gaming for sure. I started off with The Sims back in the high school days. And then, Call of Duty, Prince of Persia, GTA, Spider-Man, those kind of things. I loved gaming. Loved reading. I won when I was in school. I was such a nerd. Glasses, asthma pump, the whole caboodle. I won the bookworm prize 3 years in a row.
Oh, that's
So
adorable!
don't say it adorable, it wasn't. Nerd alert! But, I loved reading, I still do. But I would say mostly film because I did study it. So I've grown a whole new appreciation for it in that sense. And I love everything about film. I love watching the actors. I love watching the lighting setups, the editing, the directing, the script, just how everything comes together. That's a huge hobby of mine. Otherwise, I'm afraid I'm not really that much of an interesting person,
I
hobby-wise.
completely disagree.
Thank you. I guess voices, as well, would be a hobby of mine.
Well, what about music? What's some of your favorite music?
Oh, right. Music, of course. You know why I didn't say music is because I haven't played music for quite some time now. But I do play piano and ukulele by ear. I used to play the drums until it was a few years and then my neighbors complained and then I had to get rid of my drum set, sadly. But I used to, and I sing. So, and that also, I think, all helps with my understanding of being a voice artist because I feel like having a musical background really, really helps with your understanding of what it takes to be a voice artist. So, in terms of hobbies, I really do love playing the piano. I love playing my ukulele and I love singing along with it. But I always have that extra, like, I don't know if I'm good enough to post this video. And, I always have friends and partners saying, no, come on, go post it, do it. And yeah, it always takes a little bit of convincing, but I enjoy it. And, why not post the things you enjoy?
Exactly. Now let me ask you this. What do you find most relaxing?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I suppose just lying on my couch watching Netflix, eh? Um, I am also admittedly a daily stoner because that's legal here in SA now. Um, I also have a back condition, so it helps a lot with that.
Oh, I'm sorry
So
to
I do
hear.
love me. No, it's fine, please. I have a ton of medical things going on with me. I'm basically a nurse's wet dream. But but I do Pilates as well. to help with my back condition. But I mean, I'm like forced to, because if I don't do Pilates, I'm in pain. So I kind of have to work out. People are like, "Oh my God, you've been losing so much weight. You're looking so good." I'm like, I kind of have to. I'm being forced to. If I wasn't in pain, I wouldn't look like this. But that actually also helps me a lot. Getting into routine helps me relax a lot. And lately, I have found that it's been a bit difficult, but I need to get back into that routine. Need to get back into that routine of waking up in the morning and downing water and doing a little bit of exercise and then heading into the booth, because that makes for a clear and happy mind. And also the fact that Christmas is approaching now,
Oh, dear
because
God, yes.
I love Christmas. I am such a sucker for Christmas things. Like, so I mentioned I don't know if I mentioned, I have epilepsy. So when I was younger, things that trigger my epilepsy are, major excitement over certain things. So I used to get so excited about Christmas that my mom would have to downplay it. So every time I'd wake up and be like, "Mom, it's 7 days to Christmas." She'd be like, "No, no, Amy, you've got the date wrong. Christmas is only like next month." Like, she would literally have to play it down as much as possible so that I didn't have an epileptic fit, because I was so excited about Christmas.
Oh my God, your mother. Bless her
I know.
soul. Bless
Bless her. She's
her.
been through so much. She's been through so much. But I do actually even remember one morning waking up and literally going, it was like 5 a.m. And I'm supposed to have a lot of sleep as an epileptic. You're supposed to, follow all the rules, whatever. But I didn't as a kid, of course. And I remember waking up at like 5 a.m. and I was like, it's Christmas. And then like kind of had a slight bit of a seizure and kind of like fell on the floor. And I remember I was like, okay, just don't make a noise, because I know my mom's going to be like, "Amy, what did I tell you about waking up early and being overexcited?" So I had to like crawl into the bathroom and lay my head on the cool tiles for a while and let myself calm down and just take in the fact that it was Christmas before I got up. That's how much I love Christmas. So I guess you could say Christmas and this kind of season is relaxing in a sense, because I really love looking at my Christmas and my sparkly twinkly lights and watching Christmas movies and listening to Christmas music. But at the same time, I also get incredibly excited about it, as I'm sure you can hear right now, because I've been smiling nonstop since I mentioned Christmas.
You are absolutely magical. That is just that's amazing. That is just simply amazing. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
I'm curious now. What are some of your favorite foods?
Oh, foods. Oh, you got me there. Hey, I will literally have to think about this.
Ooh, I got you. I got one on you.
I mean, pizza's always a good one. Love me some, what is it? Chicken a la king.
Ooh.
Bacon carbonara, pastas. Ooh, what pastas are good. In South Africa, we have braais. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Yes, I have. When I was visiting South Africa, yeah, I went to a couple braais,
Oh,
yeah.
you've been to South Africa.
Yes,
Oh,
I have.
lovely. Where in South Africa were you?
Cape Town.
Oh, hello. How have we not discussed this yet? I live here and you've been here and you didn't say anything. So did you have a braai when you were here in Cape Town?
I was with my dear friend. I was visiting my dear friend back in 2014.
And I was here during that time. So maybe we crossed paths and we didn't even know.
Did you see like an overtly excited 19, 18-year-old, like brown hair, brown eyes, just like biggest, dumbest smile on his face?
I feel like you're describing a lot of Cape Townian students at the moment.
Oh!
So perhaps I saw you in the midst of a group of them and was like, lovely students on their way. But did you enjoy your braai that you had here?
Oh, yes, it was my good friend, like she's a magnificent cook. Oh, the things she cooked. Oh, beautiful.
You got sausages on the braai and your corn and everything. Your nice braai broodjies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so good. Such good food.
Yeah, so I suppose that's kind of my food thing. Aside from like chocolate spreads and the usual things that people love indulging in. One thing that I will mention is I really love milk, and I
Ooh.
know that the dairy industry is something that really needs to be discussed, and I need to discuss it with myself and watch Game Changers on Netflix, and I need to inform myself a lot more about what's going on in the world right now. Because I get flicked by my friends for not for drinking milk because they're like, no, drink almond milk, drink this milk, drink that. So I need to do the research for myself. Also, I feel like for my own health, etc. Maybe drinking a glass of milk every day is not good for me. No, I don't drink it every day, but I do drink it a lot. So I would say that was one of my one of my favorite foods, if you can call it that. One of my favorite drinks. At least.
That's interesting. I've never heard someone say like they were a big fan of milk. That milk was one of their favorites. That's really
Very
interesting.
weird, very weirdly into milk. Yeah, my mom has stories about that. She was like, "You were a very difficult child to stop breastfeeding." Apparently, at a very inappropriate ages, I'd just be sitting there and be like, "Mom, booby." She'd be like, "Oh my god, we're in a public setting and you're like 3. Just stop it." I have no idea what age you're like supposed to stop it, but apparently I went way past it. And she's like, "You have got a problem with milk."
My goodness. My goodness.
I did want to let you know, just as a sidebar, as something I didn't mention earlier, something that also got me into voiceovers and wanting to kind of, be involved in the radio and stuff like that was I was quite a competition whore in the
Oh.
early 2010s, up to 2014 probably. I entered so many competitions. I basically lived off of competitions. And one of the competitions I entered was on a radio station, to win a the prize was, a copy machine, like a fax copy machine, but it was worth a lot of money. And, the whole mechanic of the competition that they had come up with was you have to copy someone, haha, and then they go through rounds of people doing the best imitations of something, and then the winner gets the machine. So, I'd always kind of as a, party trick when I was younger, I said I could always imitate Britney Spears. And so I was told by all my friends and stuff to enter on this radio station, and I imitated a bit of Britney Spears, and I ended up going through to the last round, and I won the copier, and ended up selling it and living off that money for the next like 3 months for my impression of Britney Spears. So that was cool.
That's you are so unbelievably fascinating.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. All right, now, here's one for you. What's some of your favorite animals?
Ooh. I've always been a dog person, which is a little ironic considering that when I was about 10, I was basically mauled by a fully grown bull mastiff that like dragged me down a hill,
My God.
punctured my legs and like dragged me down a hill, and I got major stitches and stuff. Yeah, I had it was a huge situation, and yeah, I don't know why, but I wasn't really scared of dogs still after that. I love dogs too much, to my own detriment still, because I still get bitten by dogs. And my mom is just like, "Amy, can you just learn once from your mistakes?" I'm like, "No, I have too much love to give." So there's me having had all of these experiences with dogs, and then last year before I got married, I decided I was going to go um volunteer at this dog shelter here in Cape Town. And I went along to go for introduction, to go pick out the dog. And we had a whole group of people who were being introduced to the whole system of how you come in and you grab a dog and you go walk them around the premises and whatever. And of course, we would get an instructor who it was her first day, and she took out a dog that wasn't meant to be taken out in big groups because he doesn't really do well in group settings. And so while she was giving a little talk to our group listening, I was kind of on my haunches talking to the dog. And I was like, "Hi, here's a good dog. Here's a good doggy." I'm busy fussing over the doggy. And then all of a sudden, dog bit my face and my hand. And before I knew it, I had fainted in front of everyone. And then I had to sheepishly tell my mom and my sister, who I was supposed to be meeting afterwards, so I got bitten by a dog. I have to go get a tetanus shot.
Oh.
Luckily, I was not bitten properly on my face. I was just kind of nipped, but it was on my hand. But it healed fairly fast. But it just goes to show that I still love dogs very much, despite anything that may have happened in the past. But now in Cape Town, since I moved here, Cape Town's not really super dog friendly unless you have a proper ground house, and there's just so many flats here, and I live in a flat. So I got myself a cat. And I'd never had a cat before. So when I got my cat, I just raised her as a dog. So now when people come over, they're quite confused because my cat acts like a dog. And my cat, I will say, I have grown extremely fond of because she is such a little weirdo. She is obsessed with my voice, but so when I'm recording and stuff, she'll, I'll hear scratches on the door and whatever, and I have to let her in, and then she has to come investigate and knock her head against all my equipment to figure out who else is in the room and whatever. And it's just me, and I have to tell her that over and over again. And she's like, "No, I'm determined to find out what other voices, where are they coming from?" But I can't actually call her or summon her necessarily. So I've learned that there's only one line that she responds to and that I can actually call her, and she will literally just trot out from wherever she is and come to me like a dog. So I've learned to call her like a dog. But the line that I have to say to her is, and in this cadence as well, I have to go, "This Saturday at Pick n Pay."
No way.
A grocery store here. Just, it's so random, and she's probably going to scratch on my door now. But I can literally be lying in my bed. I do this actually. If you look on my Instagram, I have a whole highlight reel of Bagheera, which is my cat. And if you look at that highlight reel, there are just clip after clip after clips. There's just clip after clip after clip of me lying in bed or in a different room, calling Bagheera by going, "This Saturday at Pick n Pay," and then she trots in. And I've even tried it with other grocery store brands, like "This Saturday at Spar," "This Saturday at Woolworths," "This Saturday at Pick n Pay." And as soon as I say Pick n Pay, she runs in. So she might think her name is Pick n Pay. I don't know. But I guess I have some sort of summoning power when it comes to that line.
That is one of the most amazing stories I have ever heard. Your cat is incredible. Thank you so much for sharing these stories.
You can go verify that. Literally go verify it on my Instagram highlights story. And you can see how I call my cat and how she responds. I think it's hilarious. And I think I should actually take all of those clips and go to Pick n Pay head office and be like, "Hey, there's a mascot here. There's money to be made here."
I agree. Links will be in the description and in the comment section. Oh, God. That's so amazing. That's incredible. I can't. God damn it. I'm just blown away. You live one of the most fascinating lives ever. My goodness.
I think there's times I feel like I forget that I actually do. But my mother doesn't, because she always says to me, it feels like I've lived through so much. And I sent her a meme the other day that it explained why boomers or whatever think that we have lived through so much, because we have lived through a millennium, and we've lived through just so many things in our lifetime. And I'm not even 30 yet, I'm only 28. So, but not to my mom's knowledge, she as I said, I got married earlier this year, and at the wedding, she comes up to me and she's like, "Can't believe my daughter's 30, hey." I'm like, "What daughter?" Because I have two other sisters, but neither of them are 30. They're both, one is 5 years older and one is 9 years older. Then it's me. So I'm like, "Mom, I'm not 30, eh?" She's like, "What? How old are you?" I'm like, and back then I'm like, "I'm 27. She's like, "Oh, well, I've been telling everyone that you're 30. How are you only 27? You've done so many things in your life. I can't believe it." "No, I don't believe that you're 27. still to this day, if I have to remind her of my age because she keeps thinking I'm 30. I'm like, Mother, please stop wishing my life away.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
So yeah, I can see why people may think that I'm a little bit older than I am. But no, alas, only a young old 28. Never mind that my birthday's coming up very soon, kind of.
Your birthday's in December, too.
No, it's in March. I just feel very old. If my birthday was in December, there would have to be double damage control over my excitement over Christmas, because the excitement over my birthday and excitement over Christmas, oh, that's ripe for a seizure right there, my friend, I tell you.
Oh dear, I'm sorry I brought it up. Forget I even mentioned it. Oh boy. Well, it is now time for some silly bullshit questions. Are you ready?
Go for it. Always.
All right. How would you survive a alien apocalypse? So we discovered there's life out there on other planets, but they don't really like us very much. They're coming to kill us. What would you do?
I actually know exactly what I would do. I have a friend who here is extremely prepared for any kind of civil war or world war or anything of the sort. He is prepared, and he makes a point of telling me how prepared he is all the time and showing me his backpacks, his survival shelter things, basically. So he's always told me if anything goes down, I must go straight to him, and he will make sure that I'm looked after. So as soon as I hear the word apocalypse, I think, go to my friend. Let someone else take care of it.
Well, aren't you lucky? You have your own backpack prepper just waiting for you. That's well played. Well played.
I'll just ask and stand around with like big puppy dog eyes and be like, please help me, because I don't know how to defend myself against these aliens.
Oh, man. Well, that was a very good answer. Very good answer. Okay.
Thank you, though it did involve me basically putting all the pressure on my friend. And I'm going to send him this thing. And he's going to be like, wow, thanks. Just take all of my life straws, why don't you?
All right. It's time for the eternal question, the most debated question in history.
Yeah.
Tits or ass?
Oh, that's a toughie. Oh, that's so tough. That's so tough. I mean, I feel like it's easier for guys, but I'm so appreciative of both. I mean, the Lord giveth. I'm gonna have to go for boobs, but like marginally, because I love both so much. But I'll probably boobs, yeah. I enjoy the look and the touch and the feel. As much as I do the ass, though. I mean, this is a tough question.
Exactly. That's why I ask it.
Oh, God. I mean, there's pros and cons to both. I mean, how do you... No, I can't answer that. I would say 51% towards boobs, but I'm neutral. I would like to be Sweden in this specific situation.
I will accept that answer. I
love them both. Ladies, give them all to me.
You heard her. You know where to find her. Oh. You are given the role of a director. You can direct whatever you want. You can create whatever you want with whatever team you want. What would it be?
Oh, Lord, that's a tough question to put me on the spot, man. Oh, Lord. I mean, ideally, I would love to have a film that I have written and get to star in. It would be a comedy, probably a comedy drama, because I feel like I am very weirdly comedic at the wrong time. So probably a dark humor, actually, now that I think about it. Either one of those. But I'm not entirely sure what it would be. Perhaps a comedic series. But definitely starring me. I'm quite a narcissist in that regard. even when I was at film school, I know we started off doing this thing called a 48-hour film project where you pick a genre out of a hat. And the first one I picked was actually a silent movie. And I was like, you can only pick again. And if you pick again, that's the one you have to stick with. And my whole team was like, I don't know, man, it's a gamble. So I went ahead and picked again. And I went from silent to musical. So I wrote an entire musical for my whole group. I wrote the musical. I directed it. I starred in it. I sang. I did everything, and our team won. And I got so many awards for being the director, the writer, the actress, the etc., the editor, whatever. And then it came to doing our own films, and I went to go pitch my new film idea that I had to our director. And so I step up to the front of the class, and I'm like, "Yes, so this would be the general outcome. This is the brief, and this is how my film's going to go." And she's like, "Wonderful. Who is your actress?" I'm like, "Me, of course." She's like, "You cannot be an actress in your own film." I'm like, "You just gave me awards for acting in my own film. What? God, why?" She's like, "No, a director has to be able to like stand apart from the actual project and like be able to direct and not have to be in two spaces at once." I'm like, "I just showed you I was in two spaces at once and I got awarded for it." So I think anything in future, I would need to work with people who are flexible enough to let me be the weird kind of egotistical narcissist that I am sometimes.
Brilliant answer. Okay, one last silly question for you. What would you do to embarrass your arch rival?
Ooh. I'm all about passive aggressiveness, hey? So, for example, I told you about that client who was really mean to me during a session. I was like, did not like that client.
Indeed.
And that brand has not paid for any of the sessions. And so nobody that was involved, the agents, the recording studios, the engineers, nobody got paid for that job. And it was a huge job.
Oh.
So, for example, I now, whenever I see that brand when I'm out, they're called Himalaya, by the way. I'm going to name them because they need to pay their money. They've still got a YouTube ad up with another voice actress on it, on their YouTube video that has amassed like 1 million views, and it's completely illegal because they haven't paid it.
Oh.
So every time I see their products on shelves, I literally just put other products in front of them.
Ooh.
And I just hide them. So that's my passive aggressiveness. I used to live, when I first moved to Cape Town, I lived in a res with an all-girls res. And my roommates, hated having to share a room. But she was just so frustrating. And she was just one of those girls that was extremely meticulous about everything. And I was like, wow, loosen up, just like a little. And she irritated me so much. She hated the smell of my perfume. So I remember one day when she left for class, I just went to her bed and got my perfume and sprayed it all over her sheets.
Ooh.
Back of the pillow as well. I was like, hope you sleep well tonight, Olivia. I don't know if she ever found out, but I like to think that she had a terrible night's sleep that night. I'm not sure if I would ever necessarily do anything horribly nasty to someone I don't like. But and I don't really have enemies necessarily, except for that one guy who didn't pay anyone. I would consider him an enemy. But I think my best brand of revenge is passive aggressiveness, which always comes in the weirdest kind of petty forms. But I find them humorous and easier to deal with. And it makes your life not so weighed down, because they always say, holding on to grudges is like poisoning yourself and expecting the other person to die or whatever. So I prefer just dealing with my upsetness or anger or whatever it may be in passive aggressive ways that I find humorous and kind of still manage to lift my spirits.
Well, that's quite the interesting answer. Thank you for sharing. Very, very entertaining, and also some good advice there about holding grudges.
More than welcome.
All right, now we come to the final part of the interview where I like to do something a little special and a little different. So now,
Right.
Amy, you get to ask me questions. Can be as serious or as silly as you like.
Interesting. Putting me on the spot once more, I see.
It is your interview. You're kind of always on the spot, but never mind.
Good points, good points. Touche, my friend. All right, I will ask you this. What was your highlight of coming to Cape Town?
Oh, my dear friend, like just seeing her because we talked for so long online, but actually being able to see each other and speak to each other like voice to voice, and just being able to hug, just being able to give her a hug.
Lovely.
That was
Yeah.
just seeing her was the highlight.
Oh, that's awesome. And what about like location wise? Like, did you go visit any cool places here?
Tabletop Mountain.
Did you go to Table Mountain?
Yeah,
Did
yeah,
you go
Table
up
Mountain.
the cableway?
Yes.
So you got to see all the beautiful views as you were climbing up the mountain to get to the top.
Oh, no. We went like at a parking lot. Like we went to see like a sunset near the mountain. Like it was
So you didn't go up to the top of the mountain?
No, I did not go up to the top. I think it was on the side.
Next time you're here, I'll take you to the top of the mountain.
Oh my.
Yes. I got you. It is beautiful from up there. And we have these rock dussies, which are actually weirdly, just a weird fact here, closest living relative to the elephant. Haha. And they are just these small little things that you would never relate to an elephant, but they are apparently. They are all over the mountain there, and so lovely to see. And then apparently, according to like the Facebook groups of hikers who hike everywhere in Cape Town, they've spotted some incredible wildlife on there, like some big cats and buck and stuff like that. And I think that's the coolest part maybe about living in Africa, is that the wildlife seems to kind of just sporadically pop up, and you're like, oh, cool, look at that. Something people would, pay to see in a zoo or something. It's just here for us. Although we still don't, a lot of people might still ask, do you ride to school on lions or zebras or whatever? No, we do. Still got to go to game parks to see those. Okay, more questions for you. What is your favorite food?
Ooh, apple pie. Easily apple pie. I'm an absolute sucker. If you want me to, if there's anything you want me to do, like even something I don't want to do, you just offer apple pie and I'll do it.
Oh, that's a great answer, because I think apple pie is also probably one of my answers that I should have said, because back in the day when I told you I was actually playing Sims when I was younger, etc., etc., I used to see the things that the Sims would make, that like the options you'd be able to make. And you'd be able to make key lime pie and lobster thermidor. And I don't know why, but ever since I played The Sims and I saw those two things, I have just always wanted to try them. Like, they are on my bucket list. I need to try proper key lime pie and lobster thermidor, and I've never tried them. And it all goes back to The Sims.
That's on the list now. I gotta try those two. Those two sound really good.
You haven't tried key lime pie?
Unfortunately, no. Unfortunately.
Oh, well, there we go. Okay, so both of us, we've got bucket list foods now.
Yes.
We need to get together.
Yes.
And in Canada, there's what do you have with your chips and the gravy and stuff? Poutine?
Yes, poutine. Yes, poutine. Yes, we have poutine.
Oh, that's lovely. I would love to visit Canada. I've actually got relatives that live relatively nearby.
Oh.
And it's so beautiful. I haven't visited it yet. I've only seen pictures, but I've seen many pictures because I've just been obsessed with Canada. And I looked into moving there actually a while ago. And it's still on my perhaps I might be there one day list. So perhaps we might be neighbors one day.
That'd be brilliant. However, I'd highly recommend British Columbia. Easily one of, if not the most beautiful place in Canada, British Columbia.
Exactly where I was looking.
Ah!
That and Vancouver, because of the film scene, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure. You could probably tell me more about that. And there are nice places to go in Canada as well, like beautiful walks and those glacier-looking lakes and the trees.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, you guys have beautiful landscapes there.
And
And you're also very friendly, and you've got the snow, so that makes Christmas so much more exciting.
In every other part of Canada except I live in the worst part of Canada,
Oh
unfortunately.
no, I'm sorry. I don't know
Uh,
what that feels like. I lived in a very small hole of a town. Well, I was born in a very small hole of a town where dreams go to die. So I understand.
I live in a hole of a province where dreams go to die. The entire
Fantastic.
Oh God.
We've got a lot in common.
Yes. Oh Lord.
But you know what? We make it work from wherever we are, right?
Precisely.
Keep on hustling,
Precisely.
keep on grinding.
Exactly. You got hopes and dreams. Got to fulfill them somehow.
May I ask one more question?
Of course.
So, what is your favorite kind of creative to have on the show to ask questions to? What do you personally find most interesting?
Voice actors and actresses such as yourself.
Do you interview anyone else?
I've interviewed a few game developers before.
Right, that must be pretty interesting. The answers must differ quite a lot.
Oh yes, certainly. Like they're good folks, and I'm always happy to hear about their work. But if I'm just being totally honest with you,
Yes,
completely honest, like
personally.
I love interviewing voice actors and actresses. I love hearing your stories. I love being able to get to know you more as people, and like hearing all the voices you can do. And I just feel like your career, I think voice acting is highly underrated and needlessly scrutinized and stigmatized.
That is very, very, very true. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, I mean, and thank you for having me on this show as well. I agree with everything that you said. It is hard to kind of have a voice as a voiceover artist, I guess, in this world these days. As weird as that might sound, because you get put into those roles of the characters that you voice. And so sometimes people kind of lose sight of who you actually originally are and not the characters that you portray. So, yeah,
Precisely.
it's lovely to have a platform to be able to let people know that I'm an actual human being with a lot of other stories.
Precisely. So many stories. My goodness, so many amazing stories, and you have to tell me all of them later.
Thank you for being so patient and listening to all of my ridiculous stories. I have too many to tell in this hour that's gone by so quickly.
Oh, Amy, thank you so much for reaching out to me. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me and have this interview.
My absolute pleasure.
If people want to go out and find you and support you, where they go to do that?
So my website is savillevoices.com, which is SAVILLE. Well, you'll have the link, but anyway, savillevoices.com. And the website, and then my Instagram is usually where I'm most active for my safe for work stuff. So that's also same handles, Savile Voices, and same on Instagram. I mean, same on Twitter. And then my not safe for work account, TheVoiceVixxen, that is listed as a tag on my safe for work account on Twitter. And I'm guessing you'll have it as a link as well. So I don't know why I keep telling these people what to type in. But yeah, that's where my website, my Instagram, and my Twitter. That's where I'm most active. So follow me there, and I'll most likely have a wonderful conversation with you if you initiate one with me.
Links to everything, Amy, will be in the description and in the comment section down below for you all to click and check out. Now, Amy, this is the most important part of the interview. This is the part where we threaten the audience with physical violence to go check you out and support you. What should we threaten them with?
Oh, I don't like threatening people. Violence. Oh.
Okay,
But
no problem.
seriously, if you do not go and check out my stuff, I will hunt you down because I have a very specific set of skills that I have acquired over years of training. And I'm not afraid to use them. So go and check out my links. Come and say hi. I promise you I'm not actually as scary as Liam Neeson. So come and say hi to me and follow my stuff. And it would, if you have listened to this entire interview, I firstly commend you because it is hard to pay attention to something that's longer than a minute these days. And secondly, please just come and tell me that you listened to it because I'd love to know what you thought.